Good evening, everybody, and welcome to what adjective am I going to use for tonight's podcast? Then now tonight's Berardi. Let's call it a subdued because neither of us are overly happy. We've got a lot to talk about. We'll start with the scum straight after this.
Hi, this is Don Matteo, and you are listening to the Ought to Know Better podcast. Let's do this.
I am here. I could feel the timing in my ear, right? Going, I've got about 5 more seconds. I've been trying to open the window because it's absolutely scorching in here. How are you doing, Gilly, anyway?
Yeah, I'm all right. I've got French doors open. I'm in conservatory. I've got main door open. You know, we're surviving all right. I've got a beer. And I'm going to be having a barbecue with my kids as soon as we're done. So, you know, life ain't too bad, especially when you look at the scum score.
Yeah, let's start there. I mean, they're 4-0 down to fucking Thomas Frankensteiny Weenie. Fucking where we went and absolutely played them off the park only 2 competitive games ago. And we went there, absolutely played them off the park, and they're absolutely drilling the scum, fucking 4-0. How good. I mean, our afternoon didn't end great. I'll start with quoting Jesse Marsh when he said, look, something along the lines of, I've got the quote, but I've just closed my phone. Something along the lines of, when you... I can't find it. There we go. It's a terrible feeling to play well and walk away with what feels like less than 1 point. But that's also progress. To be disappointed with a point, it's always in my mind how to be glass half full. The group is making progress. Look, I think that's a great statement. When you come away from a game and actually be gutted that you get a point is not a bad place to be in as a club at the minute, is it? And certainly rather be in our position than scum. So yeah. I mean, there is a lot of negatives to take out of that last 20 minutes or so. Quite a lot of negatives. I think that the most obvious of which being tiredness and changes not being made early enough, which arguably changed the game. Look, it changed the game for us last week and we picked up 3 points rather than 1. And then this week, it's sort of come back and bitten us on the arse and we've taken away 1, probably instead of a more deserved 3. I thought we were the better team for probably the most of the game, other than maybe that last 20 minutes. I thought the first half was a bit shit and there was no team really in it, but we were probably the better, stronger side. We probably looked the most like scoring. And then the first 25 minutes of that second half, we were brilliant. Rodrigo playing in his actual position after the break. I think Dan James played there when he came on to start with, didn't he?
It looked that way. I think to reflect on the game, I think you're right. 70 minutes. I think we were with a better side. I think to look at going into the last 20 minutes or so, 2-0 up. You reflect on what Marsha said, and okay, that's fine. He's reflected on the fact that he should have made changes earlier. The frustration is that we could all see that. Especially the conditions. We know the conditions. We're all feeling the heat. It's red hot. We know it's red hot, and they're on South Coast. So it's going to be boiling. So I think for him to it feels to me like he got out-coached in that second half. In as much as Hassan Huttle made the changes that he needed to make an impact on his side and to make an impact on the game that Jesse didn't make. And do you know what? We've come from a coach where we were used to Bielsa being a stubborn coach. He's known for it. He's famed for it, and actually reflects on that himself. His plan A is make plan A better, or plan B is to make plan A better. So he was in a situation where he wouldn't make changes early if he didn't think it was the right thing to do. But we've seen that Jesse is willing to do that, and then didn't today, and that's what's really strange. So I think from a go on.
Sorry, do you know what? Do you know one thing I'd just say about that is we haven't been in that position before where we've been leading a game comfortably under Marsh from memory. I can't think of another game where we've been in that position.
I think you're
right. And I'm not sure whether he's panicked a bit and he's thought, I'm not changing something that's working. When we're chasing games, it's very easy to make substitutes because if they don't work, it wasn't working anyway. Whereas when you're comfortably knocking the ball around, winning the second ball, the game is arguably, it's in your favour. Everything seemed to be going quite well, and especially when Rod got that second, which should have been Struik's, by the way. But every good striker's taking that. But yeah, I think it's difficult. And but on the other hand, it's good that he's noticed that he's made a point because his follow up to that comment, that quote was, oh shit. Oh, am I back?
Yeah.
Very poor internet. I don't know what's happening. So yeah, the follow up was that he's recognised it, and something I can't remember what he said exactly, but something along the lines of I can't find it. Something along the lines of, look, in hindsight, maybe I could have made those changes a little earlier, and maybe it would have changed the game. So it's good that he's recognised that, and I don't think we'll see him do that again. Because I think he's quite, as far as his coaching and his management and his tactical prowess things go, he's very adaptive and he will change things up. So I was quite shocked that changed the game today. But look, they made the changes. They went after the game. They probably, because they did that, they probably did deserve a draw. And I had points. I thought we were going to lose the game. I'll be honest with you. When Ward-Prowse got that free kick on the halfway line and shot. But yeah, look, it's 2 points drop for me, but it's also a point gain as well. We've got to take the positives. Last season, it took us 7 games to pick up our first win. I think that was against Watford, from memory. Following that, we then went to St Mary's and got absolutely played off the park, and we probably the worst performance I've ever seen. You
had a really good day that day, didn't you?
Yeah, we'll not go into it, mate. It was a full weekend by the time I got home. But yeah, it's look, we are improving. We're getting there. We just need these little things will get ironed out, and I don't have any doubt. And people saying, Marsh is shit and all this sort of stuff. I completely disagree. I think he's done a real good job in certainly from what I've seen, converting us from where we were last season to where we are now. And if that continues, and he continues to make changes and reacts and becomes a little bit more reactive to opponents and their setup and everything else in between, I'm sure he won't make that mistake again. But look, all in all, a point away from home, South Coast. Before the game, would you? I mean, we probably wouldn't have done because we all predicted a Leeds win. But before the season, we would have probably taken a point down there today based on last season's performance.
I think before the season start, I think you take 4 points from 2 games, and that's where we are. We're in Champions League spots. We're watching the scum get beat. Life isn't bad on reflection. I think the context of the game of being 2-0 up, in a position to be able to see it out. And have it, and the bigger frustration for me is having those changes and options available on the bench and not using them. If that were at points last season when we had Gray, who had no minutes under his belt and he was still at school, and not making the decision, then that's a different context.
Yeah.
But when you've got people that are coming back that you want to get minutes into their legs, Sinisterra coming back from injury and Click having the game that he had when he was introduced last week that you've got on the bench, and you don't make those changes, that's where the frustration comes in for me. And it was almost desperation. We saw Marsh doing the let's go to the penis formation. It all felt rushed.
How did he signal that?
Forced off. It was 4-2-2-2, wasn't it? Sideline.
So he didn't go.
No, he didn't toss off an imaginary horse or anything like that. But he signalled it from the and you're thinking, we're all ready to all. It feels very much like we're now trying to force a position where we were in full control when he'd had that opportunity. So it's frustrating. We all would have taken 4 points from 2 games. We just would have done. There's no ways. Yeah. There's nobody saying no. You would expect that might have been a draw against Wolves and a win against Southampton because Wolves are better than Southampton. But either
you expect to lose at home. To draw at home and take. Southampton's a tough place to go. You look at their results over the years. Honestly, not many teams travel all that way down there. It's not a nice place to drive to either. I mean, it's a lovely area, but the drive there, they might have flown. I mean, they probably have flown, in fact, wouldn't they? But it's still a long way to go for a competitive fixture. It's not, they're travelling and it's not. It's St Mary's. It's a shit all ground. No, there's not a lot there. It's just an almost nothing fixture for most clubs because they're a nothing club. They're never challenging for anything. They're always just above relegation. It's not people do go there with the frame of mind that actually will just pick up a point or take 3 points and it can also almost be counterproductive. But look, there is no denying, Gilly, that we dropped 2 points today. We were in complete control after that second goal. Yeah, it is, and you quite rightly say that, and I'm gonna repeat this, but Jesse Marsh reads my tweets. He must read my fucking tweets because half-time I said I prefer Rodrigo to go up front, and I want Dan James on the one of the wings, and I want fucking Aronson in behind him. What happened? We scored 2 goals. Bang. Anyway,
I'm just really glad that I sent a message in a different chat 3 minutes before you tweeted that, because otherwise you'd have said I'd have copied you, because there were no way you could have seen mine. No way at all. But we said exactly the same thing. It's just that I said it before you, but you couldn't have seen mine. If it were the other way around, you wouldn't have been having it, would you?
No, not at all. And then this game calls for click and Sinisterra. Well, then what happens? We concede 2, and then he brings them both on. Anyway. Look, don't pay them the big bucks. Just check out my tweets, Jesse. That's where you need to be for some tactical advice. But look, I'm downhearted. I'll have to admit I'm downhearted. But on the positive, you've got to look at where we are in the league. We don't look awful. We've not looked really bad yet. There's a 20. In fact, it was 20 minutes after half time against Wolves, weren't it, where we were poor?
Do you know what? I didn't think we looked bad at all today. I think there were a couple of times when we could have done better with the situation. We've mismanaged the situation and then we've been punished for it. I didn't think we looked terrible. I were into a few people before kickoff about centre-backs, and you put a poll up and that sort of thing. And I was saying about, I think Cox's our 4th choice and we're having to play him at the moment. And then there's people going, no, what you're talking about, you're an idiot. He's our 1st choice centre-back and Cooper should be nowhere near the squad. And, there were a lot of that in advance of the game. And then, we've had lots of conversations, and I know that you've had a bit of a tete-a-tete and a show up against Jason about, do we sign a striker? Do we not sign a striker? Ultimately, we can't influence what happens. We just can't. There's frustrations on our side, but it makes fucking no difference at all what we say and what we do. None whatsoever.
Apart from when I tweet and Jesse reads it, you mean?
During the game, yes. But, Rad's an autorat listening. That's my point. So it's one of those where we can't influence the signings that are made. We can't tell them what they need to do. All we can do is moan about what we think is the shortcomings. And I think, part of the problem, we spoke, I think it might have been Jay in the group chat going, who's up against Strike today? And it was Walker Peters. And he's quick, he's nimble, he's good on ball. And we've seen that before. And I think we've all said that we'd have taken him at Leeds in seasons past. So we're in that position where you've got a centre-back up against somebody that's quick and good on ball and can get a ball in. And one of the goals came from that side, from Walker Peters doing well against Jackie Harrison rather than against Strike. But if we've got a left-back, they might marshal that a bit differently. If we've got Cooper playing, he might lead it a little bit differently. But, that's all really fine elements to it. I think for 70 minutes, we were clearly the better side. I think for 20 minutes, they probably shaded it. Did they deserve a draw? I think it'd be a stretch to say that they deserved it on balance of 70 against 20. But so it's not the end of the world by any stretch. We're not being pumped 4-0 in London by Brentford. But we are in a position where, because it was, it's one of those. If you think we're 2-0 down at St Mary's and we score 2 goals in the last 20 minutes, what do you take out of that game? and it's the way that it potentially impacts the next game and the game after that. It feels like we've been beat, even though we've got a point. Where actually, if you come from 2-0 down and get a point, it feels like you've won. And it's it's that coaching bit. Now, from everything I've seen of March, everything I've heard from him, I think he's got the sort of personality and the sort of approach that can overcome that sort of issue. It's just a shame that what we've done is we've been in a strong position and we've not finished it off.
Yeah, it is exactly that, and it's putting a lot of hard work in for that to get those 2 goals, get in front, and then just to sort of almost felt like we threw it away, did it? Just their goals were soft.
Did you say I were unfair for saying we threw it away?
I think thrown. No, you used a different terminology.
No, I said we threw it away, and you said that's unfair.
No,
and then you've just said throw it away.
no, I think what I mean is that we've got to give a little bit of credit to Southampton for making those changes, changing up their system and going for it, similar to how we did against Wolves last week. So but we, in terms of what we could have done to change that, is probably we should have been as reactive, which probably goes back to Jesse Marsh freezing a little bit because we've not been in that position where we've been controlling the game and been 2 goals in front. So why would you change it? We always seem to have been chasing games under Jesse Marsh, or at least chasing wins from drawing positions and whatnot. We don't ever seem to sit back and hold on to a win or need to. So yeah, I mean, just getting the stats up there. Gilly, what have you seen the stats just quickly before I ask you?
Yeah, just got him in front of me. Yeah, so sorry. I've ruined that for you.
Oh, no, it's all right. Yeah, so anybody who's watching or listening, possession-wise, it was sort of around about 58-42, so 60-40, which I'd probably agree with. Shots pretty equal at 14-13 in their favour. On target, 5-4 in our favour. Corners, we had 5, they had 2. And 12 fouls to 10, we had the more fouls. So looking at the stats and the scoreline, it looks like a quite balanced match. It probably wouldn't look like it was sort of 70 minutes of it were played with us in control, So yeah, it does feel it is a little bit lackluster, and there's a lot we can do. And I'm sure
I don't know about that actually. I don't know with 60-40, bearing in mind away from home, 60-40 is quite a big reverse. To be fair,
good point.
Not only that, but one of the things that I think they did quite well was let us have the ball. Now, we one of the things that I said in the BNC, I think it was last weekend, was a position where Aronton's stats don't always reflect the impact he has on a game, and that's because he's on the front foot. He's always pressing. His pressing might not win the ball, but his pressing might make his opponent rush playing a pass that then means that Aronton's teammate can then press and win a ball. So not only does he not win the ball as much as he might do otherwise, but equally he also plays the passes that are not percentage based. He's not playing backwards. He's always on the front foot. He's always looking forward, whether he's trying to win the ball, whether he's trying to play the ball, whether he's got the ball at his feet. We're in that position where he's trying to drive us forward. And genuinely, honestly, I think we're going to end up loving him as a player. I really do. I rate Rocker, I rate Adams, but I think Aronton's the one that a lot of people said Christensen before the start of the season. Yeah. Not I think Aronton's the one that we're really going to start loving as a fan base. But I think there's that thing where Southampton avoided that by just not having the ball, and that sounds counterintuitive. But if our press is if our game is based on our press and our winning the ball deep in their territory, if they don't have the ball, how can we win it off them? It sounds counterintuitive, but I genuinely think that they dealt with that really quite well.
Yeah, and they were playing a lot of long balls up to the fast lad Armstrong over the top, and he threatened a couple of times. My heart was in my mouth when Llorente made that tackle. Great tackle, by the way. Christensen not really lived up to expectations so far, has he?
No, not at this point.
Bullied off the ball last week for the goal against Wolves, and some very short passing. Left his man short a couple of times today, positioning a little bit out. I'm sure it'll come. I'm not sure what sort of system he's come from, if he's come from a 5 at the back, and because all of the highlights I saw of him were where he was in the opposition half, swinging the ball in and shooting and all sorts. I haven't seen him do that for us yet. I haven't seen him get that. And he
scored 10. He scored 10 from fullback. That's quite some doing. But if you're playing in a wing-back situation rather than fullback, but you're listed as a fullback as your position, then that's a bit of a different context. Scoring 10 as an actual fullback and getting, I think, what might have been 6 assists, that takes some doing.
Oh, yeah,
so I don't know what the rest of the setup was at that point, and it might be worth us looking back. But yeah, he's not set the world alight early on. I think there's been a couple of times when he's bailed people out. You know, there was a last-ditch challenge last weekend where Koch and Llorente, to be fair, could both have handled the situation better, and he cleared it out. But then was the cause, or partially the cause of the goal. So, you know, he's one of those. It's going to take some settling, and we knew this before the start of the season. We were all saying there's a lot of change happening in the first team squad. It's going to take some settling in, and it is. We get that. As a unit,
they've seemed to have settled in really, really well. I didn't the talk with pre-season with not everybody, but the majority of people online was, you know, we've brought all these unknowns. We're cannon fodder, we're relegation fodder. They're not going to settle in. We've seen it with how many teams when they try and buy the league, Fulham and everybody else, and they just drop straight back down. They'll not gel and all this, but give them their credit. They've all come in and they've started. All four of them have started, haven't they? Rocker, Christensen, Aronson, and Adams have all started both the games. And so that's pretty. That's 60% of your outfield team. Is that right? 40%. Sorry,
but 40%. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal, and they've settled well. They've gelled. They've sort of taken to the English game quite well and quite quickly. I think we've got to give credit where it's due. You know, Jesse Marsh has come in as a successor to probably either our second or third favourite manager ever as a club. You know. Arguable second or third, but everyone will have a different opinion based on probably what age you are. But he's come in and he's been a success. It's no easy job. He's then inherited a team of players last season that probably at the start didn't want him there. You know, they all love Bielsa, and tried to implement a brand new style halfway through a season when we're getting pumped every week. You know, give him his due. The players he's brought in and the job that we are and the football we're playing. I fail to see how we can be overly negative coming out away from Southampton with a point, other than being 2 up and being in control of the game. Fair enough, that's happened. But other than that, everything else, from a Leeds perspective and a Leeds fans perspective, there's a lot to be positive and look forward to. A lot to be positive about and look forward to, I think.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And 1-0, 1-0, 2-1, 2-0. Or if it's they're 2 up and then we bring it back. It feels really different at this point. Really different.
Deflating, and it is. I mean, if Scum weren't losing 4-0, I'd be really even more pissed off. But that is sort of making us all feel
a little
bit giddy. Yeah, a little bit giddy. But yeah, I think we've just got to, we've got to be realistic. And then based on that, I mean, where the goals came from today, from our perspective, Paddy out, looks like. Another injury, unfortunately. Rodrigo, who'd have thought it, playing in his preferred position where we signed him to play, getting 2 great goals, by the way. One, a proper poacher's effort when he nicked from Struick, but the first one, his movement, when he come across the defender, front post. Who was it who crossed it? Was it Harrison?
Harrison, yeah. I mean, and additionally, just to that, if you look at that situation that Rodrigo found himself and finished it, Bamford had a very similar situation.
Put it wide.
Fluffed his lines.
Put it wide. So just on that then, Joffrey didn't make the squad today.
We still don't know why, do we?
No, we still don't know why. There's rumours about his back and then rumours about a dead leg I've seen as well. I think you mentioned. And then Paddy limping off after about 20, 25 minutes. Do we need another striker at the club?
Well, my thoughts.
And and if so, what level of striker? Do we need somebody who's better than Paddy Bamford to start because we want to move forward and improve? Do we need somebody who's going to push Bamford and potentially play second fiddle? But that then obviously knocks Joffrey back an additional peg, and Rodrigo in his favoured position, who came on and scored a brace there. Rodrigo has scored in pre-season and altogether 7 or 8 goals now, including that hat-trick against Cagliari. Do you know, he's almost like a new player, but we know he has hot and cold spells. And he was absolutely shit in the first half playing in the 10, absolutely gash. So he had to do something better than that. But do we, I mean, all right, let me ask the question this way. Do we need one, or could we do with one? And what level?
I think we need to sign an attacking player. Up until now, what I've really wanted was a 9. I really want, we talked before. I wanted Scamacca. He had a great season in Italian football, and West Ham picked him up for a decent amount of money. I think what we needed somebody in that was going to be if you look at Aronson, you look at Rodrigo. All right, in a 10, not in a 9. You look at Harrison, you look at Sinisterra. We've got and you look at Rocker's ability to play a long ball as well. And it's not just a long pass. It is a long ball that's into the right areas that allows people's movement to be picked up, that can pick off teams. It's not just a hopeful long ball. He's playing the right passes. So I think if you look at the capability we've got of producing something in behind a 9, if you've got an actual out-and-out goal scorer, I think what we 100% had to have in Bielsa's system was a Bamford-type player that's going to harry, is going to press, going to be the first defender on the pitch. That's less of an emphasis now. And it's only recently that we've started seeing that. You spoke about the way that we were playing towards the end of last season, and it wasn't a good watch. A lot of us were concerned about the way that we were playing football, how we'd expected to see width, and then all of a sudden all of that were gone, and penis ball and all of that were an issue. I think now you look at it and you think he has brought in players that fit his system. He has brought in players that he knows and that know him. How he expects them to play football. And I think there's a very different spin on that. I still like the width. I like him having 2 wingers on the pitch. So him going 4-2-2-2, fine. But that's in order for him to get 2 up front. We didn't have 2 strikers available. So you're playing a winger up front, regardless of who that is. We were saying, is it Sinisterra? Who is it that's going to be up front alongside Rodrigo if they're going to up front? And we'd say, is it Aronson? Is it Sinisterra? We weren't entirely sure. And even now, I'm not entirely sure who it was that was supposed to be the 2 up front. One of them will be Rodrigo. I don't know who the other one was. So I think there's that bit of, some of that's just fan expectation. If we know what we're going to move to, and we've got an expectation on, and we've seen it work in the past, that's a big difference. If you're in a position where it's all really new to us, we're playing really narrow, there's no width coming from the fullbacks, all right, we've got Christensen that's having a bit of a challenge getting up to speed, and then you've got a centre-back at full-back because the only left-back that we've got that's an actual left-back's injured. They're doing the best job they can, but they're not going to provide the width and the capability you've got of people that play in that position. So I think we've got to be realistic, but at the same time, to come back to the question, I think we need to buy the goals. I don't think we need the creativity, because I'm really impressed with Aronson. I've mentioned it a couple of times now. I think he's the player that we're all going to fall in love with as a fan base. I really do. You look at Rodrigo, started well, and he's scoring goals. All right, albeit in a 9 today that he scored the goals, but he's got the capability there. Harrison, I've rated for a long time. Yeah, we've lost Rafinha, but we're in that Sinisterra I've not seen enough of to kind of, but clearly he's rated by the club. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spent the money on it. Yeah. So we're in that position where we've got creativity. But I want to see his goals coming in, because without Paddy, Rodrigo scored 2 today, not taking that away from him at all. But is he going to keep that up? You've said he blows hot and cold. Paddy blows hot and cold. Actually, if an actual goal scorer comes in, we've now got creativity in the side. we need the goals. That's where I'm looking.
Yeah. So where I am before today, I've always said that we've got enough cover, and I've been quite vocal about that. I've mentioned that Rodrigo's a better 9 than he is a 10. I've mentioned that we've got Joffy, who's probably a future England international, and then we've got Paddy, who's led the line well when he's been fit. Today, seeing Paddy limp off and Joffy not in the squad has made me probably reevaluate that. And if we're going to have the surprise package of going into this Pinas formation that we speak of, we do need another element of surprise, another bit of another option. That leads me on.
There was
to
something
then
I saw on Twitter today. Just on that, just before we move on, there was something I saw on Twitter today. Was somebody absolutely convinced that Jesse don't rate Joffy? 100% convinced, because every time he's seen it, every time he's spoken, he's talked up Greenwood and said that Joffy needs to earn his way into the side. Was the tweet. Yeah. Now, I can see there's some thought gone into that, because that is how you feel about it when you reflect on it afterwards. When somebody points out, you go, actually, yeah, that makes a bit of sense. But he didn't bring Greenwood on.
No, he didn't. No. Where I am with the striker, it very much depends on Joffrey and Bamford for me and their injury status, because then we have obviously got Greenwood, who was signed as a striker, as another option as well. So for me, if they were, they were all fit when I said this, obviously, weren't they? We didn't have the Greenwood out, and Paddy only got injured today. So, and yeah, you're going to get injuries. But you can't really account for having two of your strikers out at the same time. And nobody could foresee that. You can say what you want and tell me that Paddy was nailed on to get injured, but we wouldn't be playing him if you thought he was an injury worry, is what I'm saying. Yeah, he's injury prone. We get it. But where I am, it very much depends on those two and their injuries and their injury status, really. I think we've got enough strike power in those two, Rodrigo and Greenwood, going forward, providing at least three of those are fit. If not, I think we probably do need to dip into the market. But at what level then? What level do we dip into the market? Do we try and get somebody who's better than Paddy and spend a fortune, like a Charles de Cletier or whatever he is, which would have been great because he would have been game-changing and he would have been the next level. He probably would have took us forward. Or do we sort of put the sandbags out and buy somebody just comfortable, a Shay Adams or somebody, or somebody who's a little bit worse than Paddy, but will do a job if he's out. What as a club we want to move forward, obviously, and if the club have identified somebody that is going to be better than Patrick Bamford and less injury prone, by all means, go out and fucking get him for me. Go and do it, Charles Cletier. Now, what I don't see much value in is bringing somebody in who's not as good as Bamford, who's then going to get in maybe in front of Joffrey, maybe not. Do you see where I'm coming from now?
I do. I absolutely do. 100%. I think where I was coming from previously was I was worried that we were going to get into early season and Bamford was going to break down. It's where we are, and I was hopeful that wasn't going to be the case. And it's not I told you so at all. It was a worry of mine, and I think that when you look at the amount of goals, again, Rodrigo scored 2 goals today. But when you look at the amount of goals we got in the side, we lost Rafinha, and now we've lost Bamford again. And we struggled last season without Bamford in the side. I think it's just, you look at Everton. Everton, they've only got Calvert-Lewin that regularly scores goals. That's it. He's out. And therefore they don't score goals. And what I'm not saying is that we need to go out and buy a Solomon Rondon, because there's just fuck all point. There's no point at all in this world. Now, there's a Callum Watkins that's played today. He's not as good as Bamford. He's mobile. He does score
Callum
goals.
Watkins,
he doesn't score enough goals.
He plays the centre for OKR, doesn't he?
No, Callum Watkins. Fucking hell.
Ollie.
Yeah. We're in a mixing with sports. But we're in a position. But apparently there's been a fallout at Villa. Now, he played today, so that might all be bullshit. It might just be a smokescreen. It might be his agent trying to just get him a better wage or whatever. But there are players out there, and don't get me wrong, he's going to cost some cash. And Villa are going to want to lose him unless there's been a fallout.
They're not going to take a loss on him. He's England fringe player, isn't he? There's a good chance he might go to the World Cup. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's out, There's a good chance he will. Paddy's injury prone. There's a good chance Watkins will go to the World Cup. will Watkins want to come here and maybe not play?
Yeah, and that's absolutely a fair shout. And that's the job of Orta and the rest, to go and sell the club to them and sell the opportunities that they might get if they work hard and earn it and do whatever else. You also look at Tony at Brentford well, actually, he's just at Brentford.
They're smashing.
Surely you can. Yeah, they are. Absolutely. 100%. And I love it.
He probably thinks Brentford are a bigger club. These people, some of these people are clean.
Tony hates Brentford. Come on, you've seen the videos.
Fuck Brentford.
Exactly. He hates them.
Rashford's available. Hey, Liam, Rashford available for a mere 125 million. So yeah, I think
that's
you're
120
right.
million more than it should.
If the opportunity is there, it's all good and well moaning about it on social media or in the pub with your mates. We need another fucking striker, but unless we can find somebody that fits the financials, that's going to improve the club, that's going to move us forward, then we don't just buy. Look what happened with fucking with Big Kev. Look what happened there. We got burnt with that. We got burnt massively because we needed a striker. We didn't do our due diligence, and whatever happened, he got injured. I mean, nobody could account for COVID, but he was dog shit, wasn't he? He was dog shit. So look, I'm all for improving the squad and having more numbers available. What I don't want to do is to go waste money because people think we need a striker. I want somebody who's going to come in and be better than Paddy Bamford if they're signing for us, because I think Joffrey will be in a couple of years' time. And I think if we bring somebody in between Bamford and Joffrey to be back up to Bamford but in front of Joffrey, I see Joffrey leaving next year.
Now, so there's a few things on that. Is if you buy somebody that's at that level, they're gonna hold on to some of their value. So you might not recoup all of your money, but it gets us through this season, and we're into a position then where
what about a loan?
Well, maybe. I mean, when you look at a loan, though, you look at the older end of the market or people that aren't rated by the club at this point in the season. Anybody that you can get on loan now is because I had an argument with, I can't remember, Jill, I think it was, somebody on Twitter that said
Jill?
No club. Yeah,
that's me, Nana.
They said no club lets anybody go on loan if they rate their player, and I'm not having that
for
at all.
About 5 years, wasn't it?
But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was one of the 50 players that I gave as an example of players that were rated. Ben White was another one. Really successful loan spells, and then went back to their club and moved on for a massive fee. But at the same time, I think there's that thing where the timing is important in terms of a loan deal. If you're picking up a loan now, why is it that they're being let go? Because clearly whoever's letting them go has either already replaced them or they've got somebody that's better already. So, maybe either that or you look at the older end of somebody coming towards the end of their career that you can give a pay-as-you-play or whatever, a one season. Ericsson, and don't get me wrong, Ericsson's not a striker and he's not the player that I think that we ought to buy. But Ericsson at Brentford last season probably kept them up. He had such a massive impact on their season. They were in free fall before he signed for them. He's signed for the Scum now because he's proved that he can play a game.
Imagine being there now, though, going back there and getting beat pumped 4-0 when you've gone to what's apparently going to be a much bigger.
Gail pointed that out earlier in the conversation, I think. That's going to be awful for him to go back to. But he's going to really handle that quite well based on the wage that he's going to be taking home. But that's one of the you look for a player that's either having to prove themselves again or in a position where they're coming towards the end of a career, they've been released or they're just not getting game time, and you're picking up somebody that might be experienced and might have scored a lot of goals, and you might have a look at those. But for me, it's we need somebody with experience, and if you can bring somebody in that's got 2 years left in their career that scored goals, I'm all for that, because you can say to Joffrey, right, go train with him, but longer term, you're our man.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's fair point. That's fair point. I think, I think you're right. I think you're right. But ultimately, I think if it was for me, we were to go into the market for a striker, it would be for somebody who's going to improve us and be better or equal to Paddy now at the very least. So, guess time will tell. And maybe the injuries forced their hand. We don't know. We don't know the extent of these injuries or the rumours or anything. So I'm sure we'll find out a little bit more through the week. Right, just a quick bit now. We're going to fly through a few of these comments that you've all been sending in. Thank you ever so much again for joining us. Alice and Marty,
sorry. Just before you do that, I just wanted to say that we just had a word from a sponsor. CBD are a family company with a local shop feel and exist to continue to promote the obvious and immediate benefits of CBD products while keeping the cost to you, the consumer, as low as possible. You'll find multiple flavours available on our site, answers to frequently asked questions and suggestions on what is right for you, as well as a web form for you to get in touch. There's free delivery on orders over £50, and don't forget to use the Auto Know Better discount code of OKB10 for 10% discount of all products. Lastly, a portion of all profits will be donated to mental health charities.
Perfect. I tell you what, that advert's that bad, it's good, isn't it?
Cheers for that.
You know what I mean, though. But it's just a little bee floating along, enjoying its life. Oh my God! Did anybody see my Twitter yesterday? By the way, did you see this fucking hornet thing that was on my wall?
Oh, I wasn't happy with that at all. I can't believe you let it go alive.
I am, mate. I daren't fucking get near it. I daren't fight it.
What you needed to do, we get a big boot in your fist and just smack it until it were dead.
I'm only a size 9.
Take off and nuke it from orbit.
It had size 10s on its send.
I wasn't happy with that at all.
No, it was scary. Apparently, it was an Asian hornet, and I had to report it officially. Apparently so. I've sent a report into the Asian Hornet Trust. The Asian
really?
Wow. Yeah, I've got an app here. The Asian Hornet Watch. And you have to go in and report it because they're obviously not native, and they're eating all our honeybees and all sorts of stuff.
So they're not endangered. So is it that you should have killed it and not released it?
If it was definitely one of them. If it's European hornet, they're actually quite good for the what they call it. What's that?
For killing
what's the circle of life? What's the circle of life called?
No, that's that shite Lion King that you like.
No, but anyway, not the ecosystem. Is it the ecosystem? Yeah, I think
the natural order of things.
Yeah, order of life and all that.
Moving on.
Right, anyway, evening, Alison and Marty, as ever. Well done on getting the prediction right for not exactly right, but well done for getting the draw right for the fans. The only ones to get anything from this week.
That's right.
On Tuesday, I'm sure. Evening, Bremners. All laugh at Scummers. Yeah, well, I'll do plenty of that later. Take positives. And we are above the Scummers, yeah. Gail, I just hope we get to play this scum side, don't we all? We know we won't. McTominay will have an absolute stormer.
Fucking Zidane for the day.
Let's celebrate the first 60 minutes, not just focus on the last 30. The main discussion point is why Jesse left the subs too late. That's the only issue with today's game, and we've covered it, you know. I think it's a work in progress. Still 4 more points than this time last season. Yeah. I predicted 1-1. So, no, I did say the fans got it right, but I didn't mean exactly right. You're the only ones to score points because you predicted a draw. Strongest bench we've had for 4 years, and we didn't use it right. That's in summary, yeah, pretty much. It's great to see some good names on that bench as well, you know. Some real exciting options in Dan James and Sinister, Click, and some real good options. Evening, Jimmy the Ref. Long time no see. Hope you're well, mate, over there on the Emerald Isle. Nice to hear from you, mate. Disappointed Jesse waited so long. Evening, Derek. Agree, Luke. Probably with everything, Selena. I'm always right. 100%. Dan James showed us the value of Bamford, and I'm a Dan James fan. Look, Dan James is not a striker. When he moved out to that wing, he was a different player, pressing well, getting stuck in. And I'm sure we'll see the best of Dan James playing on either left or right flank for me. So, yeah.
Genuinely, I think not having him on the wing and his pace actually harms us. When you play him up front instead of on the wing, he's just not the same player. He knows the wing. Yeah. He's not been a forward in his career. He's been a winger. So how can you expect him to do different? So no, I agree with that.
Yeah, and the problem I've got with him coming at striker, Jesse Marsh obviously rates him as a striker, which does that actually mean we've got fucking 5 options from striker? Because Dan James is not an option from striker because he can't strike. Click is breaking the boys up in training. Yeah, great clip we saw of.
I'm not having that. I'm not having that at all. He's not.
I think he's a bit tongue in cheek.
No, absolutely. From Derek, yeah, I do agree. But there's been some fucking awful takes on Facebook where Clip's coming in and taking Adams out so he gets more minutes on a match day. Do you know what? If you don't, you've played sport. When you were training at rugby, whatever. If you weren't training hard, you get mullered on a match day. That's just and there's no reaction at all from anybody, including Adams. He just gets up and then
it's not like it's if you actually see the challenge, it's not actually that naughty. It's just late and it clips him. That's all. It's not actually like he's gone in with his foot. It's not. There's nothing in it. But yeah, look, I love to see out like that, and I think it's been over dramatized. To be fair,
I love out like that. Me says Gandhi.
I do. Says Gandhi. We need cover for Bamford. There must be a striker somewhere in Europe, not an English team. Look, I'm sure they've explored Europe. We missed out on the Paris Saint-Germain lad called Callum Wendo. I'm sure they do have other options, and I'm sure we might be exploring those dependent on the outcome of Paddy's assessment and Joffrey's if he's injured, because we actually don't know that he is injured yet. So, Liam, they took a risk with Paddy. He felt a niggle in his adductor before the match. All right, I'd like if you can copy us into a link about that. I've not seen that, mate, but yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. At least get a lone striker. Yeah, I touched on this. Gilly did as well. If there's anybody out for loan, it's either because they're really young and can't get in the first team, which or they're coming towards the end of the career, so yeah, it's an option, I suppose. Rashford's available. We've done that. Blackburn fella, is this bloody Diaz who played for Chile? But he's from Diaz, wasn't it? He's actually from like Solihull or something like that, and he played for Chile in the Copa America. I don't think he's what we need, but if
Jason were all over him. Jason were absolutely raving about him. Now, until he put Diaz on the back of his name, he was shit. He had one good season for Blackburn. He's never played top flight football. Now, if you go and get him for 8, 10, 12 million pounds off the back of one good season in non-top flight football, then that's fair. Blackburn want something like 30 million for him. Who's going to pay that? It's just unrealistic. Now, all Blackburn are doing is putting a price tag on a player that they don't want to sell. I've got no issue with them doing that, but we can't go get him because it's just an unrealistic fee. You can't just splash that sort of cash on a player that then you might have for 3-4 years that just ain't cutting the mustard. So I don't know. And then just to go back, it's not going to be an abductor muscle, is it? It's not going to be an abductor. It'd be an adductor muscle along your thigh. Abductors being an issue is you're not going to get bundled in back of a van.
No, you've got two. You've got an adductor and an abductor. The adductor's on the outside.
But your abductor's going to put you in back of a van.
All right. Oh, God. Oh, Jesse said it after his match talk. Sorry, I didn't watch that, Liam. I have to be honest. I was too busy prepping to entertain you guys.
Hang on a minute. Is that... Jesse said that Rashford were available, or that Blackburn fella was a...
No, it's about the thing.
Paddy thing. He's made so many comments, I wasn't sure which one it was. It was the Paddy niggle, isn't it?
Right then, I'm going to put an option in front of you. Che Adams, we get offered him as backup. Bamford's out for, 4 weeks. We get offered Che Adams for 10, 15 million quid. Would you sign him?
Yep.
Comments, would you sign Che Adams for 10, 15 million if Bamford is out for anything over 3 weeks? Let us know, and I might do a poll on that later or something like that, just for a bit of interest. I wouldn't. I don't think it adds anything. He's not better than Paddy. He's probably not even better than Joffrey at this stage, and I just don't think somebody like that is right for us. He was shit today as well, absolute crap. That Armstrong was a better option. He was a better player for them.
The thing about it, though, is, with all pods going on, I don't think having played in the Premier League is something that we have to look at. But the thing is, he'd be ready to start next week. And if you've got Paddy out... Go on.
I've changed my mind on this, because when we were linked with him again, I was like, yeah, great signing. I thought it was a great idea, great signing. Having seen him play today, he's fucking crap.
I think what we're in a position for me where, all right, yeah.
Sorry, my little girl's just shouted me saying, "When can we go for some dinner?"
It's all right. We're in a position now where we've lost might be a strong term. We don't know if we've got the two nines, the natural nines in our side, outside of Rodrigo, available to us next week. So, yeah, looking at it from that context. He's ready to start. He's ready to play. He's played in the Premier League. He knows what it takes. Yeah, he's not going to move us up to the next level, but he'll maintain where we are.
So look at it.
He's got a
Look at it this
capability
way.
level.
Look at it this way. Say it's a good point Chris made. Depends on Joffrey's status. So suppose Joffrey's all right. So does Shadams play in front of Rodrigo at 9 for us next week if we signed him?
Yeah.
If
And
he
the reason
starts
I
over
say
Rodrigo.
No. The reason I say yes, now the reason I say yes is because he would drop Rodrigo back again.
It's all right. Then if Joffrey's fit, does he start over Joffrey?
I think for me, the issue that we've got is Joffrey's been out this week, but if he's available to train tomorrow, then he would have played today, wouldn't he? So he's not available, so he's not going to train.
No, but if hypothetically, I'm saying he's fit, he's ready. Would he start over him based on football ability and technicality and potential and everything else that you feel?
I don't know, but equally,
the answer's no.
Out,
Gilly, you wouldn't just say no. It's simple.
But yeah, and that's fine. But if you've got Shea Adams on the bench and don't have Paddy available, and you start with Joffrey, you've still got somebody that's capable of coming off the bench and leading line.
Fair point. So what you're saying is you would sign him
not
as
necessarily
a
that he'd start. Yeah, but I don't think that's necessarily an issue, especially when Jesse clearly sees Rodrigo being capable at 10. Now, you and I might not share that view. Yeah, we might not share that view, but it doesn't matter. But then, for me, I think if Rodrigo starts tailing off in terms of form, Aronson moves inside. You've got plenty of wingers. Sinisterra coming back to form, to fitness. Yeah, Somerville, James, Sinisterra, none of them started today. Yeah. So you're in a position where you've got Aronson can move inside. If Rodrigo's lost form, you've got options of a winger that'll start in place of Aronson to allow Aronson to move inside, and then you've got somebody to play up front. So it feels to me like that forward, not like, I said it before about Harrison and Aronson and Rodrigo and Sinisterra and James. We've got that creativity behind a 9, but we don't have depth at 9, and that's my concern.
Yeah. Well, I think the very reasoning you gave there about having lots of options out wide and moving Aronson inside is the exact reason Rodrigo should be considered as an option from a striker. And that is why I don't think we should sign somebody who's not going to take us forward, because we've got plenty who will maintain us. We've got enough options to maintain us, for me. If somebody's going to come in and move us forward, absolutely snap their hands off. But no, ultimately. Solanum, no. Geldart and Perkins get a go. How was he getting on? Did he play yet for the 21s? I'm not sure how he's got on. I think he scored, didn't he? Yeah. I think the 21s won last week, and I think Joseph got 4 and Perkins got 1. Didn't they win 5-1 at Fulham or somewhere like that?
Oh, I saw Joseph or whatever his name is. Yeah, I saw him get a bag full.
Depends on Joffrey's status. Yeah, absolutely. I was speaking hypothetically. I'm not in any way, shape, or form suggesting that we're interested in Shea Adams. I was using it as an example as somebody who's not as good as Bamford, but so yeah, it was just a little bit of hypothetical speaking, because we like to do that on here as now South African. Why didn't he bring on Greenwood today? Don't know. Good point. Don't think he thought the game suited him potentially. Klitsch came on. Don't know. Guess we'll see. I'm hoping he's now recognised, though, one thing to take out today, that Dan James cannot play up front and that Rodrigo cannot play in the 10. And I think to take out this as well, moving forward, we recognise that when an opponent makes changes tactically, we need to be a lot more reactive and not just wait and see what happens. As I say, Jesse Marsh for me he's almost a bit. He's quite. Is there a word? Is that spongy? Let's call him spongy. In that he'll take his own advice. He'll say it to the media and he'll actually put things into practice in the next game, and you'll see that. He's not sort of one for lip service. He doesn't say one thing and do a lot of the other. He does tend to sort of stick to his word. And we also know that he's not. Oh, shut up, kids. He's not. He's not stubborn. We will change things up. Hence why we got 3 points last week. Unfortunately, he was quite the opposite this week, which potentially lost us the 2 points. But here we are. I'm not going to go too much into the left backs. I'm going to save that for Tuesday night's podcast. In Do We Need a Left Back? You're more than welcome to comment and give us a shout if you do think we need a left back. Just bear in mind, if you think we need a left back, Firpo's back very soon, and we wouldn't have scored that second goal if Struik won on the pitch. But look, each to their own. I'm not trying to influence you or anything. Look, I'm sure the club will do right. They've done all right to this stage. 4 points from a possible 6 so far. A goal difference of +1 after 2 games, and we are. Where are we sitting in the league currently? But below Brentford now, are we?
Oh yeah, we might be 5th now. Yeah, with Brentford absolutely smashing the Scum to bits. Yeah, we're 5th.
Fifth in the league after 2 game days. Carry that on for another 10 times.
To be fair, joint third.
Joint third. Goal difference, though. Goal difference. Anybody want to comment anything before we shoot off tonight and go get pissed and take kids for dinner and have barbecues and everything else? Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thank you ever so much, Liam. I don't know if it's the first time you've been here. I don't think I've recognised your name before, but thank you ever so much for all your comments. I think you have been on before, though. I'm not sure, but I can't be positive. It's been a pleasure, as ever. Gilly, anything else to say?
I must have a barbecue and get drunk.
Overall, rating out of 10, happiness?
Do you know what? On reflection, probably a 7. And at full time, maybe a 5. Really, really down about the fact that we'd gone from 2-0 to 2-2. But you know what? The Scum getting beats is the fact that we're unbeaten after 2 games is,
these help. These podcasts help reflect and actually put a little bit of realism and that when you actually sit here and sort of stare out your window at 2 kids fighting in the street while you're trying to do a podcast and and actually take things in, and you sit and you actually have to have a chat and you see other people's perspective and you actually take things in. You actually recognise that we're not in a bad position and it could be a lot worse. And
do you know what? You win at home, you draw away. That's a great season.
That's Champions League. That's Champions League. We don't lose a game. Invincibles.
Oh, don't start that.
We're the Invincibles. Thanks everybody for joining us. Take care. We'll see you on Tuesday. See you next Tuesday.